The psycho shower scene, the secret no one told you. It's a moment etched into the annals of cinematic history, a visceral jolt that redefined horror and left audiences breathless. The screech of violins, the crimson stain blooming on white porcelain, the chilling vulnerability of Janet Leigh's Marion Crane. Alfred Hitchcock, the master of suspense, crafted a sequence so iconic, so utterly terrifying, that it continues to be dissected, analyzed, and debated decades later. But beyond the technical brilliance and the sheer shock value, there lies a deeper, more unsettling truth about this pivotal scene, a secret that the film itself whispers but rarely shouts, a layer of psychological manipulation and narrative audacity that goes far beyond mere jump scares. We're not just talking about the murder, we're talking about the erasure. We're talking about a calculated dismantling of audience expectation, a subversion so profound it fundamentally altered the contract between filmmaker and viewer. For years, viewers believed they were witnessing the central conflict of the film, the dramatic arc of Marion Crane. They invested in her plight, her desperation, her flawed but relatable journey. And then, in a brutal act of narrative defiance, Hitchcock ripped that investment away, leaving the audience adrift, questioning everything they thought they knew. This wasn't just a plot twist, it was a philosophical statement about the nature of storytelling, about the fragile hold we have on characters and narratives. It was a bold declaration that the protagonist, the very anchor of our cinematic experience, could be summarily disposed of, leaving us to grapple with the consequences and the unsettling realization that our emotional investment was, in a way, a form of manipulation. The genius of the shower scene isn't just its visual horror, it's the psychological devastation it inflicts upon the viewer, forcing a re-evaluation of the film's very foundation. It's the moment the audience realizes they are not passive observers but active participants, their expectations being toyed with, their assumptions shattered. Think about it, you're drawn into Marion's story, you're rooting for her, you're anxious about her fate. And then, bam! She's gone. Not just gone, but brutally, irrevocably gone, leaving behind a void that the rest of the film must somehow fill. This is where the true secret lies, and the audacious gamble Hitchcock took, a gamble that paid off spectacularly, creating a film that is not just a masterpiece of suspense but a profound exploration of narrative control and audience manipulation. He didn't just kill a character, he killed the audience's preconceived notions of how a story should be told. He forced us to confront the artificiality of cinema, the constructed nature of narrative, and the power of the filmmaker to dictate our emotional journey. The blood in the shower isn't just a visual shock, it's the shedding of a narrative skin, a violent rebirth of the film's structure. It's a testament to Hitchcock's unparalleled understanding of the human psyche, not just in terms of what frightens us, but in terms of how we engage with stories and how easily those engagements can be upended. The aftermath of the scene is just as crucial. The film doesn't falter, it pivots. It introduces Norman Bates, a character who, in many ways, becomes the new focal point, but the shadow of Marion's abrupt demise lingers, influencing our perception of him and the unfolding events. This is where the true artistry of the shower scene reveals itself, not as an isolated moment of terror, but as the catalyst for a profound shift in the film's entire trajectory and our relationship with it. It's a masterclass in misdirection, not just of the characters within the film, but of the audience watching it. While many focus on the technical aspects, the quick cuts, the camera angles, the sound design that amplifies the terror, the most potent element is the narrative shockwave it creates. It's a moment that demands your attention, not just for its visceral impact, but for the intellectual puzzle it presents. It forces you to ask, what just happened? And what does it mean for the rest of the movie? This is the secret no one told you, the hidden layer of brilliance that elevates Psycho beyond a simple horror film into a complex commentary on the very nature of storytelling. It's a narrative sleight of hand that leaves you questioning the reality you've been presented with, and the power of the storyteller to shape that reality. If you're finding this deep dive into cinematic secrets as fascinating as I do, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. It really helps us keep uncovering these incredible stories. The scene's power lies not only in its execution but in its audacious disregard for convention. In a typical narrative, the protagonist's journey is paramount. We follow them, we empathize with them, and their survival, or at least their significant arc, is often a given. Hitchcock, however, threw that rulebook out the window. Marion Crane, the character we've been led to believe is the heart of the story, is brutally dispatched before the film is even halfway through. This wasn't simply a shocking death, it was a narrative assassination, a deliberate act of severing the audience's primary connection to the unfolding drama. The implications are staggering. It forces the viewer into a state of profound disorientation, questioning the reliability of the narrative and the safety of any character we might latch onto. This is where the true genius of the shower scene reveals itself. It's not just about the terror of the act itself, but the terror of the narrative void it creates. We are left to pick up the pieces, to find a new anchor, to reevaluate our understanding of the film's purpose. The lingering dread isn't just about the violence, it's about the feeling of being adrift, of having had the rug pulled out from under us. The brilliance of Hitchcock's approach is in how he managed to not only shock but to fundamentally alter the audience's engagement with the film. We are no longer passive observers, we are actively trying to make sense of a narrative that has deliberately defied our expectations. This is the secret that elevates Psycho from a mere horror film to a groundbreaking piece of cinematic art. It's a testament to Hitchcock's profound understanding of audience psychology, his ability to manipulate our expectations and emotions with unparalleled skill. The scene is a perfect storm of technical mastery and narrative audacity. The rapid cuts, the disorienting camera angles, the piercing score, all contribute to the visceral horror. But it's the narrative decision to kill off the apparent protagonist that truly lodges the scene, and the film, into our collective consciousness. It's a moment that forces a reevaluation of what a film can be, what a story can achieve, and how a filmmaker can manipulate our very perception of reality. The fear isn't just about what we see on screen, it's about the unsettling realization that the rules we thought governed storytelling have been broken, and that no character, no matter how central they seem, is safe. This is the secret that continues to fascinate and disturb audiences, the reason why the Psycho shower scene remains a touchstone of cinematic innovation. It's a masterclass in how to shock, surprise, and fundamentally alter the viewer's experience, leaving them questioning everything they thought they knew about the film and, perhaps, about the nature of storytelling itself. The aftermath of the scene is equally crucial. Instead of collapsing into a narrative black hole, the film seamlessly transitions, introducing Norman Bates and his peculiar world. But the audience's perception of this new focal point is irrevocably shaped by the brutal demise of Marion. Every interaction, every moment of perceived normalcy, is tinged with the memory of that violent act. This is the true legacy of the shower scene. It didn't just kill a character, it killed the traditional narrative arc, forcing the audience to engage with the film on a deeper, more complex level. It's a testament to Hitchcock's daring vision, his willingness to take risks that reshaped the landscape of cinema. He didn't just create a terrifying scene, he created a paradigm shift, demonstrating the power of narrative subversion to create lasting impact and profound psychological resonance. The blood in the shower isn't just a visual element, it's a symbol of the narrative bloodletting that occurs, a sacrifice that allows the film to evolve into something far more complex and unsettling than a simple thriller. It's a calculated move that pays off in spades, leaving an indelible mark on cinematic history and the minds of its viewers. The longevity of the scene's impact speaks volumes. It's a testament to the fact that true horror isn't always about gore or jump scares, but about the disruption of our expectations, the shattering of our perceived reality, and the unsettling realization that the safest assumptions we make about a story can be the most profoundly wrong. The Psycho shower scene is a perfect encapsulation of this, a moment that continues to resonate because it dared to break the rules and, in doing so, redefined the very art of filmmaking. It's a reminder that sometimes, the most powerful stories are the ones that surprise us, that challenge us, and that leave us questioning the very fabric of the narratives we consume. The impact of this scene is so profound that it has influenced countless films and filmmakers, setting a new standard for what could be considered shocking and artistically daring. It's a moment that continues to be studied in film schools worldwide, not just for its technical brilliance, but for its revolutionary approach to narrative construction and audience engagement. The secret, then, isn't just the shock of the murder, but the audacity of the narrative erasure, The calculated dismantling of audience expectation that left viewers reeling and forever changed their perception of cinematic possibilities. The chilling aftermath of the shower scene in Psycho wasn't merely a narrative pivot, it was a seismic shift in the very foundation of cinematic storytelling. Hitchcock, with a surgeon's precision and an artist's audacity, hadn't just removed a character, he had surgically extracted the audience's presumed anchor, leaving them adrift in a sea of uncertainty. The crimson stain on the pristine porcelain wasn't just a visual shock, it was the indelible mark of a broken contract, a primal scream against the predictable rhythm of conventional narratives. We, the viewers, had been lulled into a false sense of security, believing we were observers of Marion Crane's desperate flight, her moral quandary, her flawed humanity. Her abrupt and brutal demise shattered that illusion, exposing the artifice of filmmaking, the manipulative power of the storyteller. The film, however, refused to succumb to the void left behind. Instead, it embraced the disorientation, transforming it into a fertile ground for a new, more unsettling drama. The focus, now undeniably, shifted to Norman Bates. He emerged from the shadows, a seemingly meek, almost pitiable figure, a stark contrast to the violent eruption that had just transpired. Yet, beneath the veneer of his awkward charm and his devoted affection for his unseen mother, lay a darkness that, in retrospect, was always present, albeit subtly hinted at. The genius of Hitchcock was in this calculated misdirection, this masterful rerouting of audience attention. We were no longer invested in Marion's escape, we were now compelled to understand Norman's peculiar existence, his isolated world at the Bates Motel. His interactions, particularly with the local sheriff, were fraught with a palpable tension, a subtle dance of deception and veiled suspicion. The sheriff, a man of duty and quiet observation, began to piece together the fragmented clues, the inconsistencies in Norman's narrative. He represented the audience's burgeoning unease, their subconscious recognition that something was deeply, fundamentally wrong. The lingering presence of Marion's car, discovered in a swamp, became a tangible symbol of the unresolved mystery, a constant reminder of the transgression that had occurred. Every conversation Norman had, every anxious glance he cast, was now viewed through the lens of his monstrous act. The audience, once so invested in Marion's fate, found themselves scrutinizing Norman, searching for any crack in his facade, any hint of the true horror that lay within. This is where the true power of the shower scene's aftermath lies. It's not just about the shock of the murder, it's about the prolonged psychological torment that follows, the slow unraveling of a deeply disturbed psyche. The film doesn't offer easy answers, it demands active participation from its audience. We are forced to become detectives, piecing together the puzzle alongside the sheriff, grappling with the unsettling implications of Norman's actions and his distorted reality. The motel itself, with its dimly lit corridors and the ever-present shadow of the house on the hill, became a character in its own right, a suffocating embodiment of Norman's isolation and his psychological prison. The audience's emotional investment, once solely directed towards Marion, was now being redirected, twisted, and amplified by the chilling presence of Norman Bates. We are no longer just watching a thriller, we are witnessing a descent into madness, a terrifying exploration of the human psyche's darkest corners. The brilliance of Hitchcock's narrative subversion is that it forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about ourselves, about our capacity for both empathy and revulsion, and about the fragile nature of perceived normalcy. The questions that linger are profound. How could such a seemingly harmless individual harbor such monstrous secrets? And what does this say about the hidden darkness that might lie beneath the surface of everyday life? It's a testament to the film's enduring power that these questions continue to resonate, compelling audiences to delve deeper into the complexities of Norman's character and the unsettling reality he inhabits. The narrative, having shed its initial guise, now presents a far more intricate and disturbing tapestry, woven with threads of deception, psychological manipulation, and the chilling realization that the true horror lies not just in the act of violence, but in the mind that perpetrates it. The discovery of Marion's belongings, the mundane items of her life now starkly juxtaposed against the brutal reality of her death, served to further underscore the devastating impact of Norman's actions. Each object, each misplaced item, became a silent testament to a life brutally extinguished, a life whose narrative had been so audaciously and irrevocably cut short. This narrative disruption, this audacious act of literary assassination, is the true secret of the shower scene. It's not just about the shock, it's about the profound and lasting impact it has on the audience's perception of storytelling, of character, and of the very nature of reality presented on screen. It's a masterclass in how to shatter expectations and leave an indelible mark on the cinematic landscape. What are your thoughts on this narrative subversion? Did you see it coming? Let me know in the comments below. The weight of Marion's disappearance hung heavy over the motel, a spectral presence that permeated every frame. The sheriff's growing suspicion was a reflection of the audience's own burgeoning unease. He was the surrogate investigator, tasked with unearthing the truth that Hitchcock had so expertly concealed. Each interview with Norman was a carefully orchestrated performance, a tightrope walk between feigned innocence and the undeniable evidence of something sinister. The film skillfully avoided explicit exposition, instead relying on subtle cues, pregnant pauses, and the unsettling ambiguity of Norman's demeanor. The audience was left to interpret, to infer, to piece together the fragmented narrative, a process that only deepened their entanglement with the unfolding mystery. The house on the hill, a brooding sentinel overlooking the motel, became a potent symbol of the unseen force that controlled Norman's life, the spectral matriarch whose influence loomed large. The film masterfully blurred the lines between reality and delusion, creating an atmosphere of pervasive dread that clung to every scene. The audience was no longer simply watching a story, they were experiencing a descent into madness, a chilling exploration of the human psyche's capacity for self-deception and the devastating consequences of suppressed trauma. The investigation, driven by the sheriff's unwavering determination, began to chip away at Norman's carefully constructed facade. The discovery of Marion's purse, containing a significant sum of money, provided a crucial piece of the puzzle, hinting at the motive behind her flight and, by extension, her demise. This tangible evidence served to ground the unfolding mystery in a semblance of reality, even as Norman's own grasp on that reality began to fray. The tension mounted with each passing moment, the audience on the edge of their seats, anticipating the inevitable confrontation, the moment when the truth, however horrifying, would finally be revealed. The film had successfully transformed a seemingly straightforward crime into a profound psychological thriller, a testament to Hitchcock's unparalleled ability to manipulate audience expectations and deliver a truly unforgettable cinematic experience. The narrative thread, once seemingly severed by Marion's death, had been rewoven into a far more complex and disturbing pattern, one that promised to expose the darkest depths of the human psyche. The audience, forever changed by the audacity of the shower scene, was now fully immersed in the chilling world of Norman Bates, eager to uncover the secrets that lay hidden within the confines of the Bates Motel and the shadowed corridors of his fractured mind. The sheriff, a man of quiet persistence, continued his methodical unraveling of Norman Bates's carefully constructed reality. The discovery of Marion Crane's car, submerged in the murky depths of the swamp, was a stark, undeniable testament to the violence that had transpired. It was more than just a recovered vehicle, it was a tangible anchor to the truth, a physical manifestation of the narrative disruption that had already occurred. Each piece of evidence unearthed, from the bloodstains meticulously scrubbed from the motel bathroom floor to the personal effects of Marion found scattered within the motel room, served to tighten the noose around Norman's increasingly fragile composure. The motel itself, once a place of transient rest, had become a character in its own right, a claustrophobic stage for the unfolding psychological drama. Its dimly lit corridors, the unnerving silence that seemed to swallow every sound, and the imposing silhouette of the house on the hill, a constant, brooding presence, all contributed to an atmosphere of pervasive dread. This was not merely a setting, it was a psychological landscape, mirroring the fractured internal world of its sole proprietor. The audience, having been expertly guided through the initial shock of Marion's demise, was now deeply invested in the unraveling of Norman's psyche. The focus had irrevocably shifted. We were no longer privy to Marion's desperate flight, but rather to the chilling descent of a man trapped in a web of delusion and suppressed trauma. The sheriff's interviews with Norman were a masterclass in psychological tension. Each exchange was a delicate dance, a tightrope walk between Norman's feigned innocence and the undeniable weight of the evidence that was slowly but surely accumulating. Hitchcock masterfully employed subtlety, relying on pregnant pauses, ambiguous glances, and the unsettling tremor in Norman's voice to convey the depth of his disturbed state. The audience was compelled to become active participants, piecing together the fragmented narrative, inferring motives, and grappling with the unsettling implications of Norman's distorted perception of reality. The house on the hill, with its perpetually shadowed windows, became a potent symbol of the unseen force that held Norman captive, the spectral, domineering presence of his mother. The film masterfully blurred the lines between the external investigation and Norman's internal torment, creating a pervasive sense of unease that permeated every scene. The audience was no longer simply observing a story, they were experiencing a descent into madness, a terrifying exploration of the human psyche's capacity for self-deception and the devastating consequences of unresolved grief and psychological abuse. The investigation, spearheaded by the sheriff's unwavering determination, began to systematically dismantle Norman's carefully constructed facade. The discovery of Marion's purse, containing a substantial sum of money, provided a crucial piece of the puzzle, hinting at the motive behind her desperate flight and, tragically, her demise. This tangible evidence served to ground the unfolding mystery in a semblance of reality, even as Norman's own grasp on that reality began to fray and disintegrate. The tension mounted with each passing moment, the audience held captive on the edge of their seats, anticipating the inevitable confrontation, the moment when the truth, however horrifying, would finally be laid bare. The film had successfully transformed a seemingly straightforward crime into a profound psychological thriller, a testament to Hitchcock's unparalleled ability to manipulate audience expectations and deliver a truly unforgettable cinematic experience. The narrative thread, once seemingly severed by Marion's abrupt and brutal death, had been masterfully rewoven into a far more complex and disturbing tapestry, one that promised to expose the darkest depths of the human psyche. The audience, forever changed by the audacious narrative subversion of the shower scene, was now fully immersed in the chilling world of Norman Bates, eager to uncover the secrets that lay hidden within the confines of the Bates Motel and the shadowed corridors of his fractured mind. The final moments of the investigation were a symphony of dread. The sheriff, guided by the mounting evidence and an intuitive sense of wrongness, finally confronted Norman in the motel's office. The air crackled with an unspoken tension, the culmination of hours of painstaking deduction and Norman's increasingly erratic behavior. It was here, amidst the mundane clutter of the motel's business, that the full, horrifying truth began to surface. Norman, cornered and desperate, began to confess, or rather, to reveal his fractured reality, a reality where his mother's voice dictated his every action, where he was merely a vessel for her vengeful will. The revelation was not a sudden explosion, but a slow, chilling unspooling of a deeply disturbed mind. The audience witnesses the horrifying realization that the killer was not Norman himself, but a persona, a manifestation of his mother's controlling and murderous intent, a persona he had adopted and inhabited with terrifying conviction. The discovery within the house on the hill was the final, devastating confirmation. The taxidermied body of Norma Bates, preserved and eerily lifelike, served as the chilling centerpiece of Norman's delusion. It was a grotesque monument to his obsession, a constant, silent witness to the atrocities he committed in her name. The sheriff's quiet, grim determination, coupled with the stark visual horror of the preserved body, left no room for doubt. The narrative threads, so masterfully interwoven and then deliberately frayed, were finally tied together, revealing a pattern of profound psychological breakdown and horrific violence. The subsequent scenes depicted Norman's arrest, his vacant stare betraying the complete surrender of his individual will to the dominant persona of his mother. The final shot, with the sheriff's car driving away and Norman, now fully subsumed by his mother's identity, looking out from the motel room, a chilling smile on his lips, cemented the film's enduring legacy. The audience is left with a profound sense of unease, a lingering question about the nature of identity, the fragility of the human mind, and the terrifying consequences of unchecked psychological trauma. The shower scene, and its audacious act of narrative erasure, had not only shocked the audience, it had irrevocably altered their perception of storytelling, demonstrating that true horror lies not just in the visceral, but in the insidious unraveling of the human psyche. The film leaves us contemplating the darkness that can lie beneath the surface of the seemingly ordinary, a darkness that, once unleashed, can have devastating and far-reaching consequences. The legacy of Psycho and its iconic shower scene is not just about the terror it invoked, but about the fundamental shift it represented in cinematic storytelling. It taught us that the protagonist is not sacrosanct, that expectations can be shattered, and that the true power of a film lies in its ability to disturb, to provoke thought, and to leave an indelible mark on the viewer's psyche. It's a masterclass in narrative subversion, a testament to Hitchcock's unparalleled understanding of audience psychology and his daring vision. If you found this deep dive into the secrets of Psycho as captivating as I did, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. It truly helps us continue to uncover these incredible stories and explore the hidden depths of cinematic masterpieces.